and I spent a couple of nights in hospital, and after that it was fine. I don't think there's a day where I don't have a close call when I'm out there. But you know, having said that, you know, I'll see a situation and I'll look at the risk of it. I'll judge it in a cautious way. But I just can't help myself when I see something running. I've just got to chase it.
I really love this clip because he is an eccentric and he has great understanding of the natural world around him, and he truly cares about it. He's very passionate about what he does.
Well, thank you for making me number one. Well, you have been warned. Woo! Oh, mate, that's wrong.
So while we watch Andrew getting to grips with nature, we say catch you later. Until next time on You Have Been Warned.
You guys feel like nature's excavators. Just hope that they move. Settle with me. Settle with me.
It's the mother of invention.
To be a mother of invention, you've got to get creative with your engineering and make me something badass.
I'm looking for clips that show ingenuity, engineering, and a little bit of ego.
So now we know what it takes to be a mother of invention. Let the innovation begin at number 20. Meet Richie Trimble. He likes making tall bikes. But that's not his tall bike. This is Richie's tall bike. Measuring a whopping 4.5 meters from floor to seat, Richie nicknamed his bike Stupid Tall. And he notched up 2 million hits as he pedaled through the streets of LA.
It looks so scary.
You see from his perspective how far down it is to the ground and how insane it would be if he fell over.
Watch out, watch out! It looks like a pretty dangerous stunt, so why take the risk?
Some people, they like to ride quick or get a workout, but for me, I just like making people smile. So I don't really ride a normal bike. I have to ride one of these monstrosities.
It certainly made our experts smile, but how on earth does Richie balance the thing?
This is much harder than riding a normal bike, and the reason is his centre of gravity is so much higher. It's about 4 times higher. Now on a normal bike, the distance between the centre of gravity and the floor is relatively short, and a turning force to the side is the force times the distance. So if you have a small distance, you need a large force to push someone over. The problem with the stupid tool is that the distance gets so large, you need a relatively small force to get this turning motion going, and therefore it's inherently unstable.
Get out of the way!
You have to have a really good sense of balance, because one mistake and you won't be able to recover. You know, once you start falling one direction, if you don't counter that before you get to that critical point, you're going all the way down.
So, for being a master of balance, and for inventing the mother of all tall bikes, Richie, we salute you. Yeah! We're in Poland now, and I've heard of people losing their car keys, but never half their car.
It looks like he's attempted an impossibly tricky reverse park and just chopped off the back end of his vehicle.
But this was no accident. Inventor Jakub Błocki did this on purpose. But don't you need some of the stuff in the back?
There are some smarts involved in this. The first part is picked a front-wheel drive car, which means that the engine's up front and the drive wheels are up front. To drive around for a little bit, you don't really need very much gas, so you can put literally just a little gas can up there and hook up the same fuel on it.
So he's got everything he needs up front, but how's he pulling off the seesaw maneuver?
The center mass is an addition of all the weight distributed throughout the car. So because there's no rear end of the car, it's shifted forward drastically. That's why it's very close to that tipping point, which makes it easy for him to flip it up. As he's driving along, he's building up momentum. And all of a sudden, when he slams on the front brakes, the wheels stop, the car wants to keep going, which causes it to rotate up.
And at that moment, what he does is throw it high gear into reverse, and his tail still gets stuck in the air, and he rides reverse in the air.
Nice job, Jakub. Just don't ask him for a lift. You don't need to make something to be a mother of invention, as Craig Baker proved whilst on holiday with his son Ted.
This is definitely the best way I've ever seen anybody put on a swimming cap. I can't believe that he manages to hit the head so precisely.
But how on earth earth did Craig pull off this splash landing?
So when you think about it, when you want to put a swim cap on, one of the first things you have to do is stretch it out. The nice thing about filling a swim cap with water is water's pretty heavy and it actually spreads out the cap just like you want it to.
The swim cap pretty much maintains its form as it falls full of water. And now you have a curvature in the swim cap. You have a curvature on the kid's head, and so where they meet, there's an upward force on the swim cap.
The water displaces out to the sides, and basically the parts where the water's displacing out, it's actually stretching those parts of the cap more. And in the middle parts where the water's going away, the cap starts to contract. And then when all the water releases, bam, it contracts on his head. Nice, snug fit.
I'm mesmerised by this clip. I love it. I don't get it, but I love it.
Invented by Dietto Manabi and Alvaro Casanelli, this noisy laser has confused and confounded 1 million of us. What on earth is going on?
There are 4 components to the system here. You have your laser, you have a detector, you have a computer, and then you have the surface that we're looking at. As the laser is scanning the page, it can tell when it goes from light to dark by way of the photo detector.
Every time the laser beam goes to a darker area, its intensity drops. That is recognized by the feedback circuit and it acts according to its pre-programmed mechanism.
You can set the computer to either follow a dark line, which would mean find the area of least reflection and stay on it, or bounce about on the white page, and if your hand gets in the way or if the edge of the paper gets in the way, it will detect that change in contrast and avoid it.
So that explains the laser, but what about that infernal noise?
So we know that the laser is moving around according to an algorithm and also to the detector. Well, now you can take that same information and you can make it play different kinds of music. If the laser is bouncing off something, it'll make one sound, ding. If it's just cruising along, then ding. So it makes all these different sounds depending on exactly what that laser is doing.
At number 16, we're getting down on the farm in Georgia, USA. Western Summers has a big problem. His 900-kilo mega tire has gone slack and come off the rim. But Western has an inventive way to get it back on.
Usually something explodes, not a good day. Here, tire exploded, it's exactly what he wanted. Puts the tire on the rim.
Remember, flames are hot, so don't try this. But how is a big boom getting Western's tire back on track?
What Western is doing is filling the gap between the rim of the wheel and the actual tyre with starting fuel. So all it is a combination of some really flammable gases.
As the starting fluid is ignited, it actually heats up all the air molecules inside the tire. They whiz around much faster with a lot of energy and they push against the edges of the tire.
And it's this expansion of the gas that enables the tyre to pop out, sit on the rim, and allows the guys to actually attach the tyre successfully.
It looks like the tire has been inflated, but it's really not. And as those air molecules cool down, the tire will go back to its original position. So what must be done is you must fill air into the tire at this point immediately to prevent something like this from happening.
That's how you see 2,000 pounds. So far, our inspirational inventors have shown us a big bike, a loony laser, and a clipped car. But coming up, our eccentric inventions get even stranger. We're shattering windows, swatting flies, and even sprouting tails. You have been warned. Meet artist Lorenzo Maggiore, caught in a standoff with his mortal enemy, the common housefly.
I want one of these weapons.
They really look like they've been taken out by a hail of bullets.
Lorenzo ditched the traditional fly swat and invented this, the salt-shooting bug assault rifle. So we caught up with Lorenzo at his studio in Santa Monica to find out just what he has against flies.
They're just the most disgusting creature there is. They land on the grossest thing possible, and then they'll come and land on your food or something about it. Just gets under your skin when they're around. I think it's time they had a little payback.
So Lorenzo has a vendetta, but why does he need the bug assault?
The reason you can't just walk up to a fly and swat it with your hand is because they move incredibly fast. A fly's wings beat 200 or 300 times per second, and a fly can move at 2 meters or 6 feet per second.
They also are incredibly acrobatic. They won't always take off forwards. They have strong muscles that control their wings, and so they can take off sideways or backwards in unexpected directions.
So they're fast, but is there something else going on?
Flies have compound eyes. These are large and bulbous, and they sit on top of the head. So this actually gives the fly 360-degree vision. Now each compound eye is made up of thousands of little facets, each with their own lens. So this enables the fly to get a high resolution of whatever it's seeing.
It picks up moving things really, really easily. So a swatting hand or a fly swatter will be sensed by one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and you get this sort of flicker effect, which means the fly gets evolved to be very good at responding to moving things around it.
Okay, that's the theory. But what is it about salt that makes swatting flies a cinch for Lorenzo?
It's ingenious because you can shoot the fly with something that's very fast from very far away, and that shoots in a scattered pattern. So if the fly takes off, as soon as it detects that salt coming toward it, it's going to be hit by another grain of salt. In other words, it will be peppered by the salt.
I know flies have a lot of eyes, but they can't see this coming.
Here on You Have Been Warned, we applaud when unlikely objects take to the sky. Adam Raklevich from Borsk, Poland must have had that in mind when he designed and made this. Because, wait for it, yes, it hovers.
This thing has no slickness, there's no degree of polish, there's no pizzazz. It's a trolley, but it hovers. And that is cool.
Over 500,000 of us have enjoyed this clip and wondered how Adam's hover platform hovers.
Adam is basically sitting on a giant motor which is spinning a propeller that's pointing down. Propellers are designed to move lots of air. By taking a huge volume of air and shoving it in one direction, it pushes the whole propeller system back in the other one. The best bit about his design, though, is the fact that he's got two blades rotating in different directions. This is done so that they balance each other. It means you can have very fast-moving blades and you don't get the whole thing shaking to pieces.
So the dual blades counter each other. But what are the drawbacks?
From an engineering perspective, putting the fan underneath the platform is not the most stable design.
If you look at most helicopters, they have the propellers at the top and they hang the mass of the vehicle underneath. That's a very stable arrangement. It's like a pendulum. If you bump it a bit, it swings back to where it was. What Adam's done is put the support underneath and then balance the mass on top. And that is inherently unstable. But let's not forget, he has actually built his own hover platform. Unless you've also built something with the word hover in the title, I don't think you can dismiss this guy.
Well done, Poland. Well done.
Everyone knows scorpions are easy to find in the daytime. Look, there's one. There's another one. But how do you find them in the dark? Well, you call the Scorpion Hunter.
On this episode of Scorpion Hunter, we shall hunt scorpions.
Arizonian Angel Club has worked out a very inventive way of detecting scorpions in the darkness of her backyard.
Scorpion Hunter, attack.
And no, it's not using her fake British accent.
Glowing scorpion.
It's all down to her special light.
The kind of light that our scorpion hunter is using is ultraviolet light. Now this UV light is of a higher energy and a lower wavelength than the light that we use to see things. So what's happening is this scorpion has this chemical within its cuticle and it takes in this higher energy light from the UV lamp. It then re-emits it as a lower energy, longer wavelength light, which we are then able to detect because it falls within our visible light spectrum.
But why are they at the mercy of Scorpion Hunter and her UV emitting rod?
Glowing scorpion. Regular scorpion. Glowing scorpion.
We don't really know why scorpions glow like this. There's